Buying a brand new car is one of the worst financial decisions you will ever make. Let me show you why. Almost nobody actually runs the numbers before signing. And it's not because they're careless or because they don't care about their money. It's because the entire dealership experience is completely engineered to make you feel instead of think. The perfect lighting, that intoxicating new car smell, the salesperson who somehow already knows your name and your kids' names. They show you this monthly payment that sounds, well, kind of reasonable, right up until you multiply it by the terms of the loan and realize you are committing to nearly $56,000 for a machine that will be worth less than half of that by the time you're actually done paying for it. So, this explainer is about the number nobody shows you at the dealership. It's a number that's going to change how you think about cars forever, and honestly, once you see it, you genuinely cannot unsee it. Let's ground this in where we actually are right now. The average price of a brand new car is nearly $50,000. And I am not talking about a luxury SUV or a sports car here. That is the average. Just 10 years ago, that number was around $35,000. Prices have climbed relentlessly, and let's be totally honest with ourselves. They are not coming back down. So to afford that $50,000 average car, the average buyer is taking out a loan at around 6.9% interest for 69 months. That's almost 6 years. And they are paying $770 every single month. I want you to really feel the weight of that for a second. $770 for a car. That is literally a record high monthly payment. And here is what that money is actually doing. Every single month you make that payment, you're paying down debt on an asset that is simultaneously losing its value. You're literally running in two opposite directions at the exact same time. You're paying money out while the thing you were paying for becomes worth less. It's one of the only purchases humans make where this happens at this scale and this speed.
Which brings us to the invisible bill.
The thing that makes this so devastating financially isn't even that massive payment on its own. It's what happens to the car's value while you sleep. We call it depreciation. But let's not use that as some dry, boring finance term. Think of it as an invisible bill. It never sends you a statement in the mail. It never shows up as a notification on your banking app, but it is stealthily costing you more money than your fuel, your insurance, and your maintenance combined. Here's the brutal math. The moment a new car leaves the dealership lot, it loses roughly 10% of its value. Instantly. Not after a year, not after 6 months. The exact second its tires hit the public road, it is officially a used vehicle. On a $50,000 car, that is $5,000 completely gone before you've even driven it home to show your neighbors. By the end of year 1, it loses another 10% on top of that. By year 3, you've lost around 40% of the original value. And by year 5, after 5 full years of payments, insurance, and the car just sitting there in your driveway, it is worth roughly 40 to 45 cents on every dollar you originally paid.
So let's look at the real cost of ownership.
Let's pull this completely out of the abstract. Say you decide to buy a brand new Toyota Camry for $32,000. You finance it at 6.5% over 60 months. Over those 5 years, here is what you are actually spending. Notice that massive purple slice right there for depreciation? That's roughly $17,000 shaved right off the car's value. Then the interest on your loan costs you another $5,500. Insurance on a brand new vehicle? Well, that runs about $9,000 over those 5 years. Fuel is going to cost roughly $12,000, and your standard maintenance is around $6,000. When you add all of that up, your total 5-year cost of ownership is nearly $50,000. You spent $50,000 just to drive a car for 5 years. And at the end of those 5 years, what do you actually have to show for it? Well, the car is worth $15,000. Look at that massive $35,000 value loss right there. $50,000 spent, a $15,000 asset remaining. That gap, that $35,000 gap, is what buying new actually costs. It is not the sticker price in the window. That gap is the real price tag. And you know what the most important part is? That gap is not random. It is entirely predictable. It's baked right into the math of how cars work, which means it is also completely avoidable if you know exactly what you're doing. And that brings us to the revelation and, really, the reversal. The people who figured this out use a brilliant strategy. They simply let someone else absorb that massive depreciation hit. Then they swoop in and buy the car. A car that is 2 to 3 years old has already fallen off the steepest, most brutal part of that depreciation curve. It has already lost 30 to 40% of its value, but it still has the vast, vast majority of its useful life ahead of it. The average used car price right now is $26,000. That is nearly $24,000 less than the average new car.
A 3-year-old Toyota Camry has the same technology, the same safety features, and the exact same driving experience as the brand new model. It's going to get you to work in exactly the same amount of time. The roads absolutely do not know the difference, but I promise you, your bank account does. You're buying the exact same car at the price it should have been all along simply because someone else paid the depreciation tax for you. Now, think about what that difference means in your actual real life. If choosing a quality 3-year-old car over a new one saves you just $250 a month on your payment, and honestly, for most folks, the savings are way more than that, and you take that $250 and automate it into a broad market index fund every single month, just look at what compound interest does with it. After 10 years, you have roughly $50,000. After 20 years, about $189,000. And after 30 years, over $565,000. Over $500,000 for your retirement from one single decision made consistently. This is not some cheesy motivational speech, guys. That is pure mathematics. That is exactly what happens when you stop letting depreciation eat your wealth and you start letting compound interest build it instead.
Of course, we do need to address the risk.
Because I know exactly what some of you are thinking. Aren't used cars just someone else's problem? Like, I don't want to inherit someone else's mechanical nightmares. And you know what? It's a completely valid concern. To be fair, this mindset made a lot of sense 30 years ago, but it makes so much less sense today. Modern cars, especially from brands like Toyota, Honda, Mazda, and Subaru, they are engineered to last 200,000 miles and well beyond if you just do the basic maintenance. A 3-year-old car with 35,000 miles on it has roughly 85% of its useful life still sitting right there ahead of it. The tech hasn't changed meaningfully, the safety features are virtually identical. Literally, the only thing that has changed is the price. The absolute key to buying used confidently is completely de-risking the purchase. And it's shockingly easy to do. Before you hand over a single dollar for any used vehicle, you spend $100 to $150 to have an independent mechanic, and I mean an independent one, not the dealership's mechanic, go over the car completely. This one tiny step catches the vast majority of hidden problems before they become your problems. A clean inspection report on a reliable brand gives you almost everything buying new gives you, but at a fraction of the cost. And if you want even more security, you can look into certified pre-owned programs. Brands put these used vehicles through rigorous multi-point inspections and back them with extended warranties. You literally get the total peace of mind of a new car at a used car price. But the most fascinating part of this whole conversation is the psychology of the purchase. Because let's be real with each other, cars are not just transportation for most people. They are identity. They're a signal. A brand new car says something to the world about your success, your taste, your arrival. The dealership knows this. The manufacturer knows this. It is exactly why they spend billions of dollars every single year on advertising designed not to show you how a car performs, but how it makes you feel, how it makes you look, who you become when you drive it off the lot. And it works perfectly because the feeling is very real. That first week driving a new car is genuinely exciting. You notice it. Your friends notice it. There is a pride in it that's really hard to argue with. But here is what is also true. That feeling fades, consistently, predictably, for almost everyone. There's an actual psychological term for this called hedonic adaptation. It's the study of how quickly we humans adjust to new circumstances. Research shows that the emotional boost from a massive new purchase typically disappears within weeks, sometimes even just days. The excitement vanishes. The car just becomes, the car. That thing you drive to work in, the thing sitting getting hot in the parking lot. The novelty completely disappears. But you know what absolutely doesn't? That $770 payment locked in for years. You are still paying that 4 years after the new car smell wore off. The depreciation doesn't fade. The massive opportunity cost of what that money could have become if you invested it, that doesn't fade either. The people who build real lasting wealth are almost never the ones with the most impressive cars in the neighborhood. They are the ones who made a quiet, confident decision years ago to stop performing wealth and start actually building it, to stop paying for how things look to strangers and start paying attention to how things compound. And I want to say this really clearly. This is not about deprivation. I am absolutely not telling you to go drive a rusted-out beater just to prove some financial point. There are genuinely beautiful, highly reliable, perfectly equipped used cars available right now at prices that would shock you if you've only ever looked at new car lots. A 2022 Honda CR-V with 28,000 miles, a 2023 Mazda CX-5 with 30,000 miles, a 2021 Toyota RAV4 with 40,000 miles. All of these are exceptional, modern vehicles. All of them are available for significantly less than their new equivalents. The only single thing you are giving up is the ability to tell people it's brand new. And once you do the math on what that vanity costs you financially over time, compounded over decades, you really have to start wondering whether that was ever worth it.
So let's wrap this up with the blueprint.
Next time you are thinking about buying a car, I want you to just follow these exact steps. It's a hyper-actionable, beautifully simple framework. 1. Find the exact make and model you want, but search for it 2 to 3 years old with under 50,000 miles. 2. Pay the $100 and get it inspected by an independent mechanic. 3. Calculate the exact monthly payment difference between that car and buying a brand new one. 4. Take that exact difference and set up an automatic monthly transfer to an index fund on the exact day you get paid. And 5. Just leave it alone for 20 years. That's it. That is the whole thing. There is no secret knowledge required here, no complex financial modeling. It is just one better decision made once that will compound into massive, lasting wealth.
Because at the end of the day, the math is undefeated. It has always been undefeated, and it will keep working whether you believe in it or not. So before you sign that next set of dealer papers, you really have to ask yourself, are you buying transportation or are you buying an illusion? Listen, if breaking down this one single financial decision changed how you think about your money, imagine what happens when we do this together every single week. Hit that subscribe button, and let's keep building wealth one explainer at a time.